In this video, we delve into one of the most horrifying family tragedies in recent memory, a shocking massacre that left an entire community shaken. Chandler Halderson quietly went to the police station on July 7, 2021, and said that both of his parents were missing. He even went on the news and cooperated with police, as any worried son would.
Did you literally see them pulling out of the driveway heading out?
No.
Their son, Chandler Halderson, who asked to be off camera.
It was hard for even experienced agents to keep up with the web of lies that was hidden behind that soft voice. As they took off each layer, they saw that Chandler had lied before.
So I kind of just left it at that. They say they're alive.
What happened? You know what happened. You were there when it happened. We're not BSing this, okay?
When it happened,
He told the police that his parents, Bart and Krista Halderson, had not been seen since they went to the family house in White Lake, which is about 160 miles north of their home in Windsor, Wisconsin. But before we get into the full story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life crime stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. And let me know in the comment, which country are you watching from? I want to know how far this case is reaching around the world. Let's get into it. Chandler said they left on July 2nd to fix up damage from the storm with some family friends, but he couldn't name them, didn't call them, and somehow didn't think to ask about them. Chandler said that his parents are likely to come back on Sunday or Monday. After days of silence and their phones going straight to voicemail, he finally decided to call the cops on Wednesday. Deputies Joshua Sellery and John Nelson went to the family's house in White Lake, where they thought they might find signs that Bart and Krista were at least there. Instead, what they found sent up very big red flags. The house was still dusty and showed no signs of having been used recently. There were no plates, bags, or signs of life. It looked like no one had been there in weeks. That's when things changed for the worse. Where did the Haldersons go if they never got to the cabin? They were liked by everyone, didn't have any known enemies, and had no reason to disappear without a trace. All of a sudden, this wasn't just a case of a lost person. It was the start of something much worse, and no one saw it coming.
You know, my wife is pretty shook up, too. I mean, they're a very nice couple, very nice family.
You can see that the Haldersons looked like any other American family. They lived in peace in Windsor, Wisconsin, which is about 30 minutes north of Madison. Bart and Krista Halderson had been married for 20 years, since July 30th, 1994. Bart was a certified public accountant for BDO USA, and Krista worked at Zimbrek Automotive as an intern. They raised their two boys, Mitchell, 24, and Chandler, 23, together. The older of the two, Mitchell, had already graduated from the University of Wisconsin and was working as a software developer. Besides being engaged, he lived alone. On the other hand, Chandler still lived at home and, at least on paper, life looked good for him. He said he worked in IT for American Family Insurance and was almost done with a certificate in green resource engineering at Madison College. He also said that he had just applied for a job at SpaceX and that he and his girlfriend, Catherine "Cat" Melander, were going to move to Florida after he finished. Everything looked fine from the outside. Chandler and Mitchell were just like any other brothers. They became even closer during the COVID lockdowns and spent a lot of their free time playing games online. But in the months before July, both of them had health scares. During a regular checkup, Mitchell was told he had type 1 diabetes and was hospitalized for a short time. Chandler hurt the front and back of his head when he fell down the stairs at home not long ago. He later said that he had a headache, nerve problems, and trouble seeing that made it hard for him to walk. Then the day their parents didn't come home. Mitchell heard from Chandler that Bart and Krista were said to have spent the weekend at the family house up north. Mitchell didn't know this, though. This seemed odd to him, because their mother, who he called a helicopter parent, always let him know when she and Bart planned a trip. She didn't say anything this time. That quiet sent up red flags right away. Chandler's brother told Mitchell that their parents left early Friday morning with some friends, but he couldn't remember their names or describe the car they were in. Mitchell also didn't like that. Their parents usually drove themselves, and Krista wasn't like her when she was so vague or late about plans to go somewhere. Chandler first went to the Windsor Sheriff's Office in the morning of July 7th to publicly report Bart and Krista missing. Later, he told the deputies that he had a text from his mother on Sunday saying that they'd be back either late Monday or early Tuesday. They were meant to return Sunday night or Monday morning. Deputies went to the Halderson home and tried calling the couple's phones several times, but each time they went to voicemail. By that evening, things had gotten worse, and officers Brian Shunk and Sabrina Sims were called in to look into it.
Authorities are still searching for a Windsor couple who have not been seen in days. 50-year-old Bart Halderson and his wife, 53-year-old Krista, were supposed to travel north last week and return home on Tuesday.
But their son tells Tony Galley his parents' whereabouts are unknown.
Chandler told the same story again, but this time he added a few more details. He said that on Thursday, he helped his folks pack by putting away tools and supplies for the weekend. He said they were gone when he woke up at 6:15 on Friday. However, both of their cars were still in the garage. He hadn't talked to either of them since then, but he said he texted his mom a few times. An iMessage message sent at 4:47 p.m. on Saturday went through, but one message was sent as a regular SMS message, the kind that shows up when a phone is turned off or not linked to the internet. The message said, "May this go through. There must be a lot of people up there, making it hard to send." It was an easy explanation for bad cell service because of all the people celebrating the 4th of July, and it seemed like it was meant to keep people from being suspicious. Chandler said the next day that he got a response from Krista. The message, which came at 11:04 a.m. on Sunday, said, "Made it safely. Not able to send anything. It is packed, yes. We're going to the parade in White Lake today and we'll be back home Monday night or early Tuesday morning. Love you a lot." At first glance, everything seemed fine, but as the investigation went on, things started to look fishy. Krista didn't tell her boss that she was going to be absent on any days, not even Monday or Friday. Daniel Croninger, her co-worker and friend, said it was very much out of character for her to miss work without telling anyone, not even calling. Daniel called Chandler on Sunday night to ask him to his house to watch the fireworks because he was close to the family. Chandler casually told them that he had talked to his parents and that they were going to come back on Monday while they were there. It wasn't clear what was going on with Chandler at first, but after some time, a lot of things didn't make sense. Clark wasn't worried when Krista didn't show up for work on Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday without even calling. Daniel, a close friend and co-worker, called. Daniel actually pushed Chandler to say that his parents were lost. Not because my son was scared or in a hurry. He was just hesitant and needed to be pushed. To make things even stranger, Chandler texted his mother more than an hour and a half after going to the sheriff's office to file the report. The text message said, "Hey, I'm scared at the police station. Could you call or text?" Given that it was an SMS and not an iMessage, it's possible that Krista's phone was turned off. While the police dug, Chandler showed them around the house. They saw a makeshift fort made of pushed-together couches on the lower floor. Chandler said he had been using it as a bed. He said that his recent head injury made it hard for him to move around in the dark. Also, the bathroom near his room on the second floor wasn't working, so sleeping downstairs made it easier for him to get to the working bathroom at night. A stove with a broken window was in the same room. Chandler said it broke while he was play-fetch with one of the family dogs inside. He hurt his foot on the glass, and blood was found on the floor, which made police wonder, especially since they had spent so much time cleaning that area. Nearby, they saw a note written by Krista that said, "Good morning, Chandler. Pam, I hope you have a great day, in case." It had the phone number of a neighbor. Chandler said that Krista had left it for him before she went to the cabin in case his head injury caused him any problems. But Pam told the police a different story when they asked her about it. She remembered that Krista had asked her if she would be home the previous Wednesday because Bart had to go to the doctor and Chandler needed someone to watch him. But Krista never said anything about leaving a note for that weekend. Investigators thought Chandler might have used an old note again and put it in the hopes that it would help him sell his story. At the same time, Mitchell and his fiancée did something about it themselves. To take a look around, they drove to the family house in White Lake. Mitchell tried calling and texting their parents but didn't hear back. They were met by deputies from Langlade County who searched the yard. It was clear right away that no one had been there lately. The grass was too long. The house was locked and nowhere to be found. It looked like no one had been in there in weeks. Also, the shed and dock were checked. Nothing. There should be no bags, food, or tracks. It was still a dead town there. Even stranger, they found a flyer for the White Lake Parade while they were there. Sunday, July 4th at 2 p.m. was not the day it was meant to happen, as Krista's fake text said. When Chandler got back to Windsor, he asked everyone in his neighborhood if they had seen or heard anything about his parents. Chandler was caught on camera by a neighbor's doorbell asking if their security system had seen anything early Friday morning. He made sure to ask if it had recorded anything before 6:15 a.m.
Wondering if you were able to capture the road or my house. Did it capture anything on?
We don't know. We don't know. They just took a copy of everything, and so we're hoping.
Wide angle lens.
Yeah, and it's all.
Yeah.
The neighbor agreed to look and later gave the video to the police. The video showed some very bad things. That morning, no one left the house. Krista and Bart were not picked up. They didn't leave their car. They didn't leave. By Friday night, July 8th, Chandler was called back to the station to meet with Detective Shunk in an official setting. The way he was acting this time was clearly different. He walked over to the wall and put his ear against it, as if he were trying to hear what was being said outside the room. He looked uncomfortable, maybe even scared. It wasn't clear if he knew he was being taped, but Chandler started to ask questions as soon as the detective walked in. He called to see if police were at his house. He said that an officer had said something took place. He checked to see if there was a warrant. It was clear that he wanted to know how much the police knew, but Detective Shunk didn't tell him anything. Right away in the interview, Chandler was asked to go over his schedule one more time. It was Wednesday, June 30th, when he said the stove glass broke. He cut his foot, and he told Kat, his girlfriend, that she thought the wound might get sick. The officer thought it was odd that Chandler said his father was mad about the broken glass and sent him to his room. Chandler was 23 years old. Being sent to his room at that age made people wonder how the family worked. Chandler's words probably told more than he thought as he went on. He talked about the next few days as if his parents had just left and left him to handle things. He admits that he didn't do much while they were away. That person should have been cleaning, he said. When the cops came, he said the house looked pretty clean, except for dog hair. On the other hand, police saw that everything in the basement, shelves, boxes, bins, was perfectly arranged and labeled. Chandler was a calm person, so it didn't fit with his nature. It seemed forced in some way.
By the way, a detective at my house said something's happened, and while we were leaving, people were going inside. Is there a warrant for my house?
Should there be?
No, I'm just wondering if...
Okay.
Can they go in?
As far as I know, they were at your house, and they were going to be there talking to you to ask if you would come up here and talk to us.
But Officer Haley just walked pretty much in to the gate. You know, the gate on the outside. She just kind of walked in. I was wondering.
Was that when you were getting your wallet?
No, we were. I was in the car waiting to leave. I was just wondering if everything's okay, because she said something's happened.
Okay.
And we need to go down.
All right. I'll find out what that's about.
Well, has anything bad happened?
Not sure.
It became more and more clear that Chandler may have been under a lot of stress, and not just from the investigation. He may have also been stressed out at home. Later, family and friends said that the Haldersons were very careful, organized, and active in their son's life. That system might have felt too tight for Chandler, especially if he was already keeping things from other people. Soon enough, police would find out how much he had been hiding. Chichan said that his parents told him about their plans for the weekend over a casual dinner on Thursday night. The talk turned to the cabin while they ate plates of shrimpless scampi, which was his dad's favorite food made without shrimp. Chandler says that Bart and Krista told him during this meal that they were going to go up north with some friends. Chandler didn't seem to care about it and just said, "Oh, cool." He said that his sensible father had asked for pipe repair tools and petrol cans for the trip. Chandler got the things they needed, along with some plumbing tools from a tote in the garage and a couple of red jerry cans. He then helped them move their already packed duffel bags to the mudroom, which is close to the garage. Chandler said that after getting things together, the three of them watched a movie together before Bart and Krista went to sleep. Chandler played computer games late into the night and then went downstairs to sleep on the couch he had made out of old boxes. He said that when he woke up on Friday at 6:15 a.m., the house was empty. They were no longer there, he said. After giving the dogs their food, he saw a note from his mother that had insurance cards on it. He then went about his day as usual, but by then the police had already proven that no one had left the house that morning. The security video from the neighbor's camera showed that no cars were pulled into the garage. Detectives could see that his story was not telling the whole truth by this point. Chandler told police that he relaxed, played games, and spent time with his girlfriend Kat over the 4th of July weekend. However, Kat was being questioned by police separately. She thought Chandler was innocent, so she happily told him about their weekend, thinking that it would clear them both of any wrongdoing. Kat joked that the people closest to the victim are usually the first ones to be looked at because she likes true crime shows. She had no idea that agents were already comparing what she said to what Chandler said. Some of their timelines didn't match, but there were enough that they couldn't be ignored.
That'd be crazy. Sorry to sound very monotone right now, but just no. No. Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Not a mean bone in his body?
Well, everyone has a mean bone. They even said Mother Teresa was a dick sometimes, but I just don't see him killing Mr. and Mrs. Halderson. He had SpaceX. Why would he jeopardize something he, would dream of, you know? They're his parents. For Christmas, they got him and his brother matching tool sets. Come on. He cooks dinner for them. They have root beer floats together. They play Mario Kart whenever his parents want to.
And his brother Mitchell, you think?
Mitchell?
Yeah, he's
a leaf in the wind.
One of those inconsistencies was going to a farm owned by Crest, who is dating Kat's mother. Kat and Chandler went to the farm for dinner on July 4th, which was a Sunday. He said he went back by himself the next day to talk about his health with Crest and Kat's mum, Dulcie. He said that he had told them that his leg problems might not go away and that he would probably lose his chance to work at SpaceX because he wouldn't be able to fly. He said they let him use the pool to calm down after he had a crying fit. Chandler said that he had just gone for a walk in the woods and came back itchy from the grass or bugs. He then went to the pool to wash off. But when police talked to Crest, she had a different memory of what happened. Chandler had asked the day before if he could use the pool, and she had said yes. But when he came back alone on Monday, he had been gone for a while after driving his dad's blue Subaru Outback into the woods. She said Chandler wasn't in the trunk because it was open. He finally came out of the woods and walked casually to the pool. Things about the time, his behavior, and his sudden departure didn't make sense to her. Detectives paid attention to what she thought. Chandler was in an interview room at the station, telling police about his weekend in bits and pieces. At the same time, police were searching the farm. It wasn't long before they saw vultures flying around, which is always a bad sign. One of the deputies moved towards the wooded area where Chandler had been seen and saw a strange pile of twigs. He found something horrifying under them: the body of a person. It didn't have a head, arms, or legs. It only had gray cargo shorts on, a black belt, and a rope around its waist. On the body, 2 bullet holes could be seen. A trash can nearby held a bloody blanket and a Target shopping bag full of bloody clothes. Kat's name was on the shipping label for that bag. Police also found a rusty metal drum near where Chandler's car had been parked. There were saw blades and knives inside. Even though the bodies hadn't been publicly identified yet, police were very sure that the torso belonged to Bart Halderson. At the same time, police were finding more disturbing evidence at the Halderson home. On the floor of the basement, blood was found. Animal bones, a bullet fragment, and a spent shell case were found inside the fireplace that had the broken glass. Bart and Krista's driver's licenses and cell phones were found in the basement, tucked under a shelf and inside a shoe. The phones were wrapped in tin foil and paper towels. It was still Detective Shunk sitting across from Chandler in the interview room when the call came in. They found the remains of a person. He kept a calm face as he leaned in and asked a scary but important question.
Okay. So we have like 20 pages of writing. We're going to start with a clean white piece of paper for you to start telling the truth. Okay. What? Because listen to me. This is the only chance you're going to have to tell us the truth. Okay. Listen. I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us. Okay, and we know the reason why. Okay, you need to tell the truth. Listen. You need to tell the truth about what happened, and just tell us why it happened. Okay? If something happened, if you were defending yourself, or if you just got fed up with stuff, you need to tell us the truth. Okay? This is your chance to tell us why. Okay? I'm not BSing you. Okay? So can we do that? Okay, they're okay. Lawyer. I'm sorry. Say it again, Jay. Lawyer. Because they're. Okay. Do you want a lawyer? Yeah. Okay.
It was 6:41 in the evening. Chandler Halderson was now legally in jail. Not because he messed up once, but because almost the whole story he told was based on lies that were falling apart quickly. His plan, if you can call it that, was falling apart everywhere. He didn't look lost. He didn't seem surprised. He didn't worry about his parents. He didn't like that the cops didn't believe his story. He didn't have scared or sad eyes. They were doing some maths. A lot of people thought Chandler's plan was painfully simple. He thought that if he told the police that his parents were lost, they would just write it down, shrug, and move on. That no one would look for the body or ask any questions, and the murder would just go away. Bart and Krista Halderson were loved, respected, and known, though, which is something he didn't plan for. When people like that leave, the world takes notice. It was proven to be Bart's body part that was found on the farm, but Krista was still missing. That's when the police turned to Chandler's girlfriend, Kat, who had been very helpful from the start. They were able to see where her phone was by using the location info. It would give her the missing piece, but she didn't know that. Chandler had cheated on Kat before, so she used Snapchat to find out where he was at all times. On July 3rd, early in the morning, she saw Chandler in her app with the word hubby next to his name. He was 25 miles away near the Wisconsin River. She might have taken a picture to find out why he was there. When police searched the area using that information, they found Krista's legs, which had been cut up and separated. DNA tests proved they were hers. The blood on the farm tools belonged to both Bart and Krista. Chandler was running out of places to hide as the proof grew.
A Dane County man convicted of killing and dismembering his parents will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Chandler Halderson was convicted of killing Bart and Krista Halderson back in January. Halderson had initially reported his parents missing last summer, but he was later arrested for lying to police about their whereabouts. Investigators eventually found the Haldersons' remains scattered around Dane County. The trial had 8 days of witnesses and included testimonies from neighbors, family friends, and Chandler's own brother.
The Dane County judge says life in prison is the only way to protect people from Chandler Halderson.
A jury convicted Halderson of killing and dismembering his parents, as we mentioned last summer. His life sentence also comes without the possibility of parole.
For those who thought the deaths were the scariest part of this story, get ready for something even scarier that was found as the police dug deeper. Chandler Halderson lied his whole life. Everything, not just one small thing or a mistake. He had not been going to college. He worked for American Family Insurance, but never for them. He still didn't have a job at SpaceX. In fact, he lied about everything he told his parents, his girlfriend, and his friends. Chandler went so far as to make fake email addresses and write and reply to himself as if he were professors or HR managers. He did this to keep up the appearance that he was a good student and a bright worker. But the cracks showed up in the end, and Bart Halderson saw them. Bart got fed up with delays and reasons, so he called Madison College directly. He asked for Chandler's school records and proof that he had a certificate in green energy. What he got back was terrible. Chandler wasn't signed up. Getting papers wasn't happening for him. He owed the school more than $2,000, in fact. Bart was upset in more ways than one. He had enough of being lied to. It was set for Thursday, July 1st at 2:30 p.m. at the college for a meeting. Bart texted his son at 2:10 p.m. "I'm ready whenever you are." Bart never got to that meeting. The police thought Chandler killed his dad in the basement that afternoon before they could leave the house. Later, evidence proved it. In the firebox, a piece of a bullet and a spent shell casing were found. Bart's DNA was found in the blood on the floor. Then Chandler texted his mom to ask her to pick up soda on the way home as a cold way to buy time. She never had a chance when Krista walked through that front door. Chandler as well killed her. Like Bart's, her blood was found in the basement. That same night, Chandler bought 20 pounds of ice from Quick Trip. He probably didn't want to use the ice for drinks, but to keep the bodies cold in the basement chest freezer. In the end, blood was found in the drain of the freezer. He killed both of his parents and cut them up with power tools and an axe. Both bodies were later found, covered in DNA. Chandler bought a tarp at Fleet Farm the next morning, as seen on surveillance video. Later, that tarp was found around Bart's middle, still with Chandler's fingerprint on it. Chandler texted Kat, his lover at the time, to ask for hydrogen peroxide and more ice. He said that their ice maker was broken and that his family liked their drinks very cold. As the police tracked Chandler's moves, they found even more horrifying proof. He took his car to the Wisconsin River, which he had been to before, and even posed for shots there. There is where he dumped Krista's broken legs. His phone records showed that he stopped several times near the river, but no body parts were ever found. Chandler told Kat on July 5th that he had to go to the doctor again for a follow-up visit. He even texted her updates while claiming to check in, get x-rays, and go through scans. He didn't leave his house until 4:30 that afternoon, though, which is also when he drove back to the farm and dumped Bart's body. Once Chandler turned in the missing person report, he started searching for things like body found in Wisconsin and dismembered body found in Milwaukee River. The body parts hadn't even been found yet. He was looking ahead of time. The last blow then came. Crest, Kat's mom's lover, found a semi-automatic rifle hidden behind some supplies while she was cleaning out her shed. She thought at first that it belonged to her old father, but when she remembered Chandler's visit, she called the cops. Chandler was found to be the owner of the gun. It was the murder tool. The case began in January 2022. Chandler was charged with murder in the first degree, hiding a body, lying to police, and cutting up a body. There was a lot of evidence provided by the prosecution. The defense didn't even try to say that the person was not guilty. Instead, they said that the killings weren't planned and that Chandler might have just lost it, or that it was all a terrible mistake. Bart had been shot twice in the back, though. Krista had been cut up, phones were not seen, people burned, lies that were piled up to the top. The judges came to a unanimous decision on January 20th. All of them are guilty. After 2 months, Chandler went to court to be sentenced. He spoke for the first time, but there was no regret or feeling. Chandler Halderson was given a life term in prison with no chance of parole. It was quiet. There was no early release or second shot. The same quiet he used to hide what he did. Things might have been different if he had been honest from the start. But 2 people died because he had to protect his lie, his image, and his myth. Everyone can now see Chandler for what he really is. He is not the smart kid going to college or the upcoming SpaceX employee. He is a lie, a manipulator, and a killer who will spend the rest of his life in prison. Another brother, Mitchell Halderson, has tried to move on with his life, but the pain he went through is likely to stay with him forever. Mitchell drove to the family house and looked for their parents by himself, but he didn't know what a terrible thing was going on. He talked at Chandler's hearing and made it clear that their mother going somewhere without telling him was not like her. Mitchell still works as a software developer and lives a quiet life away from the public eye. Since the trial, he and his fiancée have stayed out of the public eye. And while they have stayed out of the news, their strength was felt very strongly in court. Close friends and co-workers of Krista also had a hard time making sense of what happened. Daniel, who worked with Krista and was close with the family, was very important early on because he told Chandler to report his parents missing. Krista's co-workers often said that she was a kind, caring, and active mother. The sudden disappearance of her and the horrifying truth that came out after shocked everyone in their town. Chandler's ex-girlfriend, Kat, fully cooperated with police and used Snapchat to give them important information about where Krista's body was found. At first, she thought Chandler was innocent and only wanted to make sure no one would think anything bad about them. Since then, she's moved on with her life and stayed out of the public eye. People who were left behind, like family, friends, and the community, are still getting over what happened. The shocking betrayal and unimaginable death of 2 loved parents at the hands of their own son may leave scars that will never go away. But they have kept the memories of Bart and Krista alive and chosen to honor their lives even after everything they went through. What do you think could drive someone to commit something so horrific? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story shocked you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new true crime story. Until next time, stay safe and take care of one another.